Taking a brief break from the Skulk origins that I've been covering recently, and there's still a few more to cover because there's a lot of awesome ones. Today we're going to be going through the Allay origin created by the user known as Muffin. I'll show off the origin to you and then, for the sake of fun, see how the Warden reacts. The Allay. A 3-impact origin, the definition of cute and useless. The Jukebox Stash. Stand on a jukebox to open a separate inventory. So by standing on top of a jukebox, you can press your G button, which is what your primary ability is typically bind to, but you may change it if you want to, and you get these extra 9 slots of inventory to use. If you die, the items will stay inside the jukebox, meaning it's just a nice inventory that you can kind of keep around you. The jukebox also acts like an ender chest, meaning that you can break the jukebox and then place it down elsewhere, and suddenly all the items that you had in there already are still there, and you can claim them again or add more into it whilst moving around. Flight. Go up by holding space down or by crouching, or glide by sprinting. So with this ability, only go up by about 15 blocks. So you have to have a block within 15 blocks away from you. Any further and you will not be able to go up. As you can see here, as I float up, I hit a wall and it won't let me go higher until I hit my creative mode ability. You can press crash, go all the way back down, and you can press space, go way back up again. And then you can sprint in the air to move whilst flying around. But unfortunately, you can't move and hold spacebar at the same time. So you kind of have to float up and then put your movement in so you can actually go a distance without touching the ground, because you can't do both the spacebar and the sprint at the same time. Mitosis. Use an amethyst shard to duplicate. If you right click with a shard, you'll be able to make yourself another ally. So now you've got yourself a friend. Now as you can see by the red bar just above my hotbar, I'm going to assume, seeing as that went down when I used this ability, you need to have that mostly all the way charged in order to duplicate yourself and get another ally. Collector. Dropped items glow for you. This is very simple, and it makes it so it's a lot more difficult to lose items that you drop. As you can see, when you drop an item, it will glow with a blue glow, making it very easy to spot, especially through blocks, so you can easily find anything you drop. Second chance, you can survive on the brink of death. Doing the age old and summoning in a husk, because we all know that's what I like to summon in, because it's basically a zombie, but it can't die from the sun. Which, one thing you may already notice, there's a whole bunch of new sound effects with the Allay mob, with the Allay origin, using the Allay stuff for you. As you can see, we took enough damage that we would have died, so we just survived a little bit longer. Better explanation, basically speaking, when you take a set amount of damage that is supposed to kill you, you will only take enough damage to go back to 0 hearts. Then its ability will give you half a heart, null and voiding whatever other damage you're supposed to take that should have probably killed you. This will not save you though if you do take any more damage from any more enemies beyond that. Super Regen. Replaces regular regeneration with the allies, and being hit by a mob stunts said regen temporarily. But as we start to take damage, it takes a few moments. You can tell by the sword icon. You can see it pop for a moment. The dagger with the little bar there, that's like your time frame of when you can regen again. But as you see, as we take damage, that keeps resetting and we're not healing. But the moment we float away from the husk, we let that bar fill up, we start healing again. Just a bit of a note, you pretty much regen at all times regardless of your hunger levels, but you've got to keep in mind that once you've been hit, you have a short period of time where you cannot regen, and it's indicated by that bar that disappears after a few moments. Chibi, you're small and harder to notice, but you also have less entity reach. From what we can see here, you're like just barely, you're about, let's say about 7/8 of a block. You're not precisely a block tall, you're a little bit shorter than a block. If you crouch, you still cannot fit underneath a slab gap. You are short enough to fit between the gap of a block and a trapdoor, so you won't have, like, you can fit between this gap here without crouching, you just slide right through, but you can't fit between a slab and a block. You're not short enough even when you're crouching. Sweet Tooth. Sweet food gets a slight boost, but it's all that you can eat. Also, others can feed you as well. I can't demonstrate the second part of that ability. So what defined as a sweet food is you got honey bottle, glow berry, sweet berries, pumpkin pie, melon slice, cookies, cakes, and that is it. All other foods are completely unedible for you. Go into survival mode, as we can see, a sweet berry will now do 2 hunks of hunger instead of the typical just under 1. Glowberries will also do the same amount of a boosted thing. It's effectively doubling the ability. Taking a cake, it cakes do roughly about the same hunger as it always does. I don't think there's a notable difference there. But sweet foods are overall a little bit better for you, especially the berries, making the berries slightly more useful than what they would normally, especially considering you can't eat anything else aside from berries and other sweet foods. Prey. Illagers and crossbows will do 2 times damage to you. So crossbows from any form of player or mob or whoever is using a crossbow will deal double damage towards you, and then illagers in general will also do double damage to you. This also counts the Vindicators and the Illusioners, meaning that you don't want to mess with them because they're gonna the Vindicator can one-shot you when you have no armor. That is actually deadly. Ill Omen. The sight of totems disgusts you. You have no need for such vile things. This one's very self-explanatory, especially by that thing. Anytime you get a totem of Undying in your inventory, you'll immediately throw it back out. You are unable to hold a totem of Undying regardless of anything. You put it in your inventory, you'll be immediately throwing it out. Gearless. Armor, tridents, shields, bows, and crossbows are too large and unwieldy to use. Yeah, you heard that right. Because of your small size, you can't wear armor whatsoever, you can't use crossbows, you can't use tridents, and you can't use shields. You can still use swords as a form of defense, but you have no ranged defense whatsoever, as you can only use swords, axes, and other tools like that. So that's a big thing to keep in mind. You have no ranged abilities whatsoever. Let's take ourselves to the Deep Dark and face a Warden. Now, the first thing of note is that it doesn't seem like your regular movements make any noises whatsoever. So that won't alert the skull confectors. Whoop, there we are. I have no idea what happened there and why I didn't activate before. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Just waiting for him to use his ability on us. Oh, he definitely knows where we are. Ow. Oh. Oh. Wow, that took a lot to kill you because you heal so well.